In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to tell you basically everything you need to know, which isn't much, to get any physique you want, provided it's, within the realms of possibility. What is a physique?
You can read minds.
It's just muscle and fat stuck to a skeleton. Now, we can't do much about bone structure, so your goal physique is really just a goal amount of muscle and fat, or what we call body composition, because your body is composed of it. Therefore, to reach your goal, all you need to do is build some muscle and lose some fat. Maybe you need to build loads of muscle and lose a bit of fat, or build a bit of muscle and lose a lot of fat, or do loads of both. It's irrelevant because, and this is important, building lots of muscle is the same as building a bit of muscle, except it takes longer. Likewise, losing lots of fat is the same as losing a bit of fat, except it takes longer. The logical extension of these statements helps us dispel two common myths. One, that you have to train any differently if you don't want to get too big. The quickest route is to train like you do want to get too big, then just stop before you get too big. And two, that you have to do anything differently to lose that last bit of stubborn fat. You lose the first bit of fat by being in a calorie deficit, and the next bit of fat by being in a calorie deficit, and the last bit of fat by being in a calorie deficit. So we need to build muscle and lose fat. Shall we try and do both at the same time? Nah, that's a shit idea. It sounds like it'd be quicker. It's not quicker. Building muscle requires calories. Losing fat requires an absence of calories. Unfortunately, calories cannot simultaneously be present and not present. This is oversimplified, but the point is, whilst it's possible to a slight extent for most people and to a significant extent for a few people, it is almost never the most direct route from a starting point to a goal physique. For that, we should look at building muscle and losing fat as distinct goals and approach them separately. Gain muscle for a bit, lose fat for a bit, gain muscle for a bit, lose fat for a bit, and continue until you reach your goal, or in bodybuilder language, bulk cut, etc. So which should you start with? As a general rule, if it's not obvious, it doesn't matter. If you're fat, start with trying to be less fat. If you're skinny, start with building muscle, and if you're somewhere in between, start with either, because you're going to be on this little merry-go-round for a while, so it doesn't really matter where you get on. Once you're all aboard the never-ending cycle of oscillating between two extreme states of self-loathing with fleeting moments of self-acceptance in between, you just focus on gaining muscle until your body fat reaches a level that disturbs you, then cut down until most of the fat's gone, and repeat, with each iteration of the cycle bringing you closer and closer to your goal physique. As a rough guide, bulk to about this level of fat, cut to about this level of fat, and then repeat. Unless you've got Ibiza coming up, in which case, obviously, get ridiculous. The good news is, whether bulking or cutting, your lifting stays the same. There's no such thing as a bulking program or a cutting program. It's just a program. Cardio and calories may change, but you always lift as if trying to gain muscle. So here's the big question. What do in gym? Well, you can't train every muscle every workout for many reasons, so you have to split up your training into a training split. In essence, you choose a few muscles to focus on each day, usually a couple of larger muscle groups and one or two smaller, and then you do one or two exercises for each. There are infinite ways you can arrange your training split, but only the most popular have actual names. If you're not sure, I'll choose for you. Just do push-pull legs, named as such because the muscles are grouped according to the actions they perform. If you want to do a different split, knock yourself out, but remember a couple of things. Try not to do more than 10 sets for a single muscle in a single workout, because that's about the point where your return on investment starts to go directly into the bin. Try not to train the same muscle on consecutive days so that it has time to recover between sessions. For each exercise, you want to do 3 to 5 sets, and generally you want to stay between 5 and 15 reps. You can build muscle outside of that rep range, but it gets pretty inconvenient. There's just no need, mate. Include a mix of rep numbers for each muscle. For example, you might do some chest exercises for sets of 6 and some for sets of 12. Although not a solid rule, keeping your compound exercises in the lower half and isolation in the upper half of that rep range is a pretty good strategy. Somewhere around 20 sets for a workout is fine. Do less if you're fresh in the gym because you won't need as much to make progress, or Do more if you hate your home life and want to spend as much time as possible away from your responsibilities. Probably wouldn't bother doing more than 25 sets in a workout, so I'd call that an absolute maximum, but there really is no minimum because any sets are better than 0 sets. If your sets are too easy, your muscles can already cope with the work and they won't have to adapt, aka get bigger, to the demand placed on them. So not difficult enough equals no gains. Difficult enough equals gains, but once you go beyond that, more difficult does not always equal more gains. TLDR, just don't blast the arse out of every set. Ideally, choose a weight that enables you to complete most of your sets with 1 or 2 reps left in the tank, but by the time you reach your final set, you'd fall 1 or 2 reps short, even if, your nan was being held hostage by a Mexican cartel and they were for some reason demanding that you complete your set in order to secure her safe release. Alright, proper TLDR, you should struggle but manage to complete most of your sets. First, I'll give you a fish. Prioritize free weight compound movements like horizontal and vertical barbell and dumbbell presses, pull-ups, squats, lunges, etc. Complement those with pretty much any isolation movements you like, but if you do have to choose one, machine lateral raises are probably better than dumbbells, overhead tricep extensions are probably better than pushdowns, and seated hamstring curls are probably better than lying. Okay, now I'll teach you to fish. A good exercise will A. Challenge you throughout the full range of motion. This is why machine lateral raises can be better than dumbbells because the dumbbell version is too easy at the bottom. And B. Not be limited by factors other than the muscle being trained. This is why machine rows can be better than free weight rows because to do a free weight row, you often have to stabilize the weight with your lower back, which can become exhausted before the muscles that you're actually targeting. Once you've chosen your exercises, don't change them up every week. You need consistency for long enough to track progress and develop strength. You can mix up your isolation exercises pretty freely, although I'd still recommend giving them at least 4 to 6 sessions. But for compound movements, you need more time to learn and become efficient at the actual motor skill involved, so give those a bit longer. Let's say we have a 20-set workout comprised of 5 exercises. The 3 muscles we're training are chest, shoulders, and triceps. We do 1 compound movement for low reps and 1 isolation movement for high reps for chest and shoulders, then an isolation movement for triceps for high reps. Then we mix up the order a bit so that these muscles get a bit of rest in between exercises. This is a very basic one-size-fits-all template for a workout. But honestly, you could stick to this and make gains for a very long time before you have to consider making anything more complicated, provided you do one thing. When you can complete all of your sets for an exercise, increase the weight next time. This is the crux of it. To build muscle, you must get better, i.e. stronger, at performing exercises in this rep range. Hypertrophy itself is not a performance metric like endurance or strength, but it does arise from, or give rise to, improved performance. Just a very specific type of performance. 2 things will make this easier for you. 1, keeping the weight the same for all of your sets, otherwise it's hard to gauge progress. 2, timing your rest periods. Otherwise, you don't know if you got stronger or just rested longer. Now we've got lifting sussed, the rest is easy. Stick to your routine consistently and simply adjust your calorie balance as you cycle through bulk and cut phases. Consume more calories than you burn, gain weight, burn more than you consume, lose weight. Easy. But we're not just gaining and losing weight for the sake of it. To make body composition changes, we need to make sure that most of the weight we gain is muscle and most of the weight we lose is fat, so that with each bulk and cut phase, we are converging towards our goal physique. Lifting weights helps a lot with that, but the rest largely depends on that calorie balance, and here, slow and steady wins the race. Gain weight too fast and a less than ideal proportion of that weight will be body fat, which is bad because it means you can spend less time building muscle before you have to think about losing fat again, which is bad because building muscle takes a while. Lose weight too fast and you'll start to lose that hard-earned muscle. Again, lose gains equals bad thing. To avoid this, you need to set your calories so that your rate of weight gain when bulking or rate of weight loss when cutting is within an appropriate range. Then you can monitor your weight and make small adjustments to keep yourself in that range. Stepping on scales often is the best way to make sure you're on the right track, but another way to check you're not just getting super duper fat dead quick when you're on a bulk is to look in the mirror and see if you're fat. If you are, probably chill it a bit. Now, important point, you will mess this up, but you will also get better at it. Eventually, everything will become more gradual, you'll get a better idea of your caloric needs, your physique will fluctuate less, and you'll actually be able to enjoy being in great shape most of the time, regardless of which point in the cycle you're at. If you stop gaining weight on a bulk, increase your calories a bit. If you stop losing weight on a cut, reduce your calories a bit. If you need to reduce your calories but you really don't want to, just move more, do some cardio, hit 10k steps a day, you get the idea. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is typically recommended, and that's fine, but if you're a very high body fat percentage, you can certainly go lower, and if you're very lean and tall, you might even want to go a bit higher. Fat and carbs are pretty flexible as long as you're getting your minimum fats, because you actually need those to live and stuff. Okay, that's lifting and calories basically covered. Let's just do a quick fire round to finish up. Creatine works, you should take it all the time. Whey protein is just protein, not necessary but probably worth it for most people because it's so convenient, definitely tastes better in a smoothie than chicken. Consistency is key, better to stick to training 3 times a week forever than 5 days a week inconsistently. Cardio, not strictly necessary but definitely recommended. General good health will help in your quest for gains, so eat vegetables. As you make more gains, you'll make less gains, or maybe better put, the more muscle you have, the harder it is to build more. And finally, everyone will respond differently to weight training. There is huge genetic variation. It's just a thing that is merely another cold expression of indifference from the universe, so don't take it personally. Okay, really finally, this video covers the basic tools for altering your body composition in isolation. Of course, people will have different goals or enjoy different types of training, many of which will result in some form of muscular hypertrophy as a byproduct. So I'm not saying you have to train like a bodybuilder to look sick. I'm just saying it's the best way. Alright, I hope that helps. Subscribe. Bye.
Jordy Lenny is my hero.